into a fuller, more expansive version of life manifesting itself in, through, and as you, and in, through, and as me. So this whole month we have delved into different aspects of becoming, actually, a person of increase, an expansive being. So we've used vision cards that we've handed out during the month for you to write your positive statement of what you would like to vision for your life in 4 different areas. You're going to have to look it up on the YouTube channel if you want to. Joyful Gathering, look it up. It's on the web if you want to know what those 4 aspects are. So, clear, positive statements. Okay, it's in relationship, in health, in finances, and in how you want to show up in the world. Your work, your career, or just any creative expression of you in this world, in your life. And we've had gratitude journals, and we still have a couple left in the back, that we have been using for the 40 days before Thanksgiving. So we really started last Sunday to write 10 things that we're grateful for each day. And those little journals have nice little affirmations and things in them. And it does. All these tools are to raise our vibration to the place of our vision, to fulfill our desires, which is the name of our talk today. Let's fulfill our desires. Not just talk about it anymore. Let's do it. So I love this statement from Wallace Wattles, which is one of the books we've been using this month, The Science of Getting Rich. He writes, "The universe is a great living presence, always moving inherently toward more life and fuller functioning. The infinite presence of life itself is now ready to burst forth." It is. Do you feel this excitement, or is it just me? I just feel this excitement ready to burst forth, especially right now. So this bursting forth is happening in and through each one of us, if we allow it, if we open to it. It's present. Nobody is devoid of it. It's in every single person. You've got to cultivate that relationship with it, encourage it. So far this month, we have explored how to be birth mothers into this birthing forth, busting forth. And that also is for the guys. You can be birth fathers. So it's bursting forth, and it wants to express. So today we're going to wrap things up by, if I would have played the music, it would have been good. Ease on down the road. Then we really would have been dancing. So we're going to ease on down the road. So what do we mean by easing on down the road? It's a metaphor for I think about when we drive, we have lines on either side of our vehicle, hopefully anyway. So the lines on either side help us navigate safely down the road. And many highways, if not all of them, have these lines, and some of them have little bumps on them so that we get jolted if we stray too far, if we go out of alignment. It can be an immediate wake-up call, right? Well, we have these internal lines within us. Think of them within us. Lines that help us navigate toward a fuller, freer, more expanded vision and version of life itself that is expressing through us. And so on one side, we're going to talk about these 2 different lines. On one side, the lines on one side consists of the hopes, longings, and dreams and desires that we have within us. And on the other side, the line consists of the places of discontent within us. And when we listen to them both, because we need both lines, we will head straight into the direction that we want to go. Most certainly easing on down that road. So we're going to look at how discontent and desire serve us in fulfilling our dreams. And really, it was so perfect. Patty's reading today, and I just tell her the topic when the practitioners call me, so I don't know what they're going to actually read. So it's always a surprise, and it's perfect because I'm going to be quoting from that book actually today. So I want to start with discontent. So I like to call it divine discontent, and you'll see why in a moment. So that's not to be confused with the ego-driven discontent, which is fear and a lot of complaining, and it can be very petty and mean, that kind of. Well, this is a different kind of. This divine discontent has a foundation of love, of kindness to it. And it is more of a life-affirming, calling forth you into a more expansive way of being. And we're all familiar with knowing what we are discontented with. I mean, I think a lot of us know what we're discontented with. Aren't we?
Yeah.
In fact, many times when I am with somebody, and I know Reverend Jessica too, especially as a chaplain, or in a class, we ask people, what do you want? And a lot of people don't have any idea of what they really want to experience in life. But boy, can they tell you what they don't want. That's easy. So it's up for us to identify what we want. So we can do that through that contrast. And while, of course, having a clear picture of what we want is the ultimate goal, knowing what we don't want can help steer us to what we want. That's what was perfect, what you read. In the Abraham work, Jerry and Esther Hicks, which is the book, which one did you read?
Ask and it's forgiven.
Ask and It's Forgiven was the one Patty read. But in all of their work, it's about contrast. It's about, and in all of the New Thought writers talk about it, knowing what we don't want, but knowing it kind of in a divine way, so that it guides us, it steers us into the direction of what we want. So it's very helpful to be discontented. Divinely discontented, that is. We do that without the complaining part. And so if you've been trying to write your vision on your vision cards and have been unable to do so, or it's not been really clear for you, or you felt, look, if you want to find out what you really want, look at the place where you feel uncomfortable, where you feel dissatisfied, where you feel frustrated. Because those are the places that are going to guide you. If you're aware, you must be aware, and pay attention, they'll guide you to what you want. Because I know what I don't want. So then allow it to guide you to what you want. So you can write your vision, pick that vision up and have it clearly stated. And so Emmett Fox, a gifted New Thought writer that many of us have heard of, tells us, this is nice, to me, the butterfly teaches the most important lesson that we human beings ever have to learn. You all know his story. He lived what seemed to him a very long time as a worm, what we call the humble caterpillar. Now, the life of a caterpillar could be taken as the very type and symbol of restriction. He lives on a green leaf in the forest, for goodness sakes, he writes, and that is about all he knows. Then one day the little caterpillar finds certain strange stirrings going on within himself. The old green leaf, for some reason, no longer seems sufficient. He becomes moody and discontented. But, and this is the vital point, it is a divine discontent. He feels the need for a bigger, finer, more interesting life. And his instincts tell him that where there is true desire, there must be fulfillment. And so a wonderful thing happens. The butterfly emerges, beautiful, graceful, now endowed with wings, And instead of crawling about on that restricted leaf, he soars above the trees. In fact, above the whole forest itself. Free, unrestricted, and in his true self. So respect and honor the divine discontent that might be going on within yourself. Because this is leading you to a greater expansion. This is God's greatest gift, your life. This is God giving you your life and speaking through and to you. Letting you know there's so much more. Remember, it's limitless. And that we must know. Life is limitless. We are limitless. And like that little caterpillar who had those stirrings deep within and expanded to become this butterfly that could just fly all over. That's a great metaphor for our lives. I remember years ago, before I had any idea of being a minister, I was not really happy in what I was doing. Not anymore. But I did know that I wanted to serve, to be a beneficial presence. But now I know that it was my divine discontent that was urging me forward. And I absolutely didn't know what it was or what I really, really wanted, except to serve and to be a beneficial presence. So I followed the guidance, the direction, each step. I said yes and took those steps. And so trusting that I was moving in the right direction. Trusting myself because it felt right. I didn't know the bigger picture, but following the guidance. You know, just coming out like the caterpillar, getting ready to burst forth. What I needed was the deep contrast of what I didn't want in order to inform me more clearly of what I truly wanted. And that's to be with all of you. It's to be here. It's to be in the classes. It's to be in service to community. That was such a gift that I got, that divine discontent, that feeling of frustration and not being fulfilled was truly a gift. The part I could have left out was the complaining, but remember when they had those bracelets, do not complain? You're supposed to wear them for 21 days. I wore mine for about 21 minutes. But I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. So I'm working on the complaining part. But I still got here. And I know there's so much more because life is expansive. Life is expansive and there's more for all of us. But we have to take the first step in the right direction. And that's the direction that feels good, feels right to you. In your life at this moment, if there feels something that is unsettling within you, perhaps it is your divine discontent urging you forward. If it feels frustrated, feels the conditions don't feel right, it's your divine discontent. Learn from it. Move in the direction of your dreams, your desires. The other line in the highway represents our dreams. Homes, our dreams, our longings, and our desires. And now I love these words of Ernest Holmes. I knew he was in here. He writes, "Free yourself forever." Ernest Holmes is the founder of Science of Mind, if you don't know. Free yourself forever from the thought that God may be pleased by a life of sacrifice. Love that. That the world is any better because of your misery. Or that righteousness is more perfectly expressed through poverty than abundance. Know that the greater abundance of every good, he writes, every good thing which you are bringing out in your life, the more perfectly you are satisfying the divine urge within you. Anything you can dream is not too great for you to undertake. He knew. All the great thinkers knew this great truth. We deserve to have a life of good. We deserve to live a life of abundance, filled with love and fulfillment. In working with our desires, I want to give you a framework that has been very helpful to me. In fact, I just found the booklet. I couldn't believe it because we were getting rid of things, so I'm finding all these old papers. I didn't burn the whole thing, but I did burn this one. For those who don't know, we had a big burning last Sunday, and we burned a lot of papers and stuff. But this workshop came out of it, and I remember working with these, and I want to bring these concepts to you today because they were very and they still are very, very powerful to me, and I'm still working with them. So, they're the concepts of participation in our dream and attachment to our dream. So we have participation and attachment. You might have heard of this, Jolene. The vision we have written, okay, we hopefully all have a vision for ourselves written down, and the lane line in our road of life that is called desire. So imagine, if you will, an axis or a graph. Your graph has one vertical line and one horizontal line. Everybody got that picture? The vertical line represents your participation in your vision, and the horizontal line represents your attachment to the vision. Of course, within this graph, so then we have 4 possible combinations. 2 lines, 4 possible combinations. So we have 4 ways to play the game of life. And they are low participation, low attachment; low participation, high attachment; high participation, high attachment; and high participation, low attachment. So bear with me, because I'm going to go through each one of those, and you can figure out which one you are in or would like to be in. So low participation, low attachment. If we have both of these, if we have both low participation and low attachment, well, we're barely breathing. We are barely breathing. Not funny, because we can find ourselves, we might know someone like this, or we might have been this way in our lives. Barely breathing. Just enough juice to get through the day. No motion, just no motions at all, just going through them. Just going through the motions of life, just acting as if, but no energy force, no life force, right? We most certainly cannot, in this space in the grid, we can most certainly not express the full, free, expansive self that we truly are. So let's look at the other space in that grid. Low participation, high attachment. If we're coming from that place of a low participation and high attachment, there is certainly a little bit more juice, right? There's a little movement there. But it's a life of futility. Futility because we aren't doing much. We're not really practicing the principles that we teach, the spiritual principles, doing the kinds of work that we need to move ourselves, to match our dream. We don't have, we have this high attachment to the outcome, but we have low participation in it. So this is usually where you find yourself in victim consciousness. Okay? This is where you find yourself in. This is where life is happening to me, but I want this. And so if you've written something on your vision card or anywhere, in your journal, anywhere, and you write it down, if you wrote it down, you must have wanted it. If it came through you, if this was your highest vision, and you wrote it from right where you're standing, of course you want it. But in this state of low participation, high attachment, we have increased states of dissatisfaction, but no power to change it, because we're not going within. Because within is the only place you have true power. It's not in the circumstances outside. It's always going to be within yourself. And most of the people who are in this space, though, they look at the outside circumstances and they blame the economy. They blame the diagnosis. They become the victim of circumstances. And many of us are in and out of that. but it's for us to become aware of it, to recognize it. And so, and this is the grid, this is the part of the grid that there is a lot of complaining in.